Welcome everyone. We are beginning our meeting for this 20th of June 2023. We have the opening moment to do our pledge, and if you would like to stand up for this, you'd be very welcome. Thank you. We recognise the city's considerable natural and cultural heritage, including thousands of years of traditional ownership by Ghana and the more recent contribution from people either born here or who have migrated here. As we meet together, we build on this heritage by respecting and listening to each other, thinking clearly, being receptive to new ideas, speaking honestly, and deciding wisely for the current and future well-being of those we serve. Thanks, councillors. Thanks, everyone. And welcome to everyone here in the gallery as well. You're very welcome. Just to remind you all that this meeting is being recorded and it will be available on our website in a few more days. The other thing I just want you to be aware of is that we will have a number of people speaking during the evening, and I'll make sure that we can officers introduce themselves. If you wouldn't mind remembering to say your name and your role, because sometimes I forget to do that. I'd really appreciate your help with that. For those of you who are in the gallery, just to remember that we do try and conduct our business in an open and transparent way, and you are here to observe, and we are unable to enable you to participate in the meeting. Apart from those who come as to give a deputation tonight. So we're looking forward to hearing from the person who's doing that as well. The first order of business is that we have confirmation of our minutes. Do I have someone to move those? Councillor, oh, what's going on here with mine? Mine's gone. Oh, it's on. Now, can I turn off your microphones just for one moment and we'll start again? Okay. Except my microphone's not. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, through the Mayor. I just wish to start, actually. I'm happy to move, but I just wanted to point out an error in one of the motions on the meeting, council meeting on the 16th of May. So I was just wondering if we can record. I know we can't change the motion. So the motion I'm talking about is the Voice to Parliament 11.5. I just want it noted, if possible, please, that the motion accidentally refers to the wrong order, what the Uluru Statement from the Heart is asking. It should read Voice Treaty Truth, and the motion actually reads accidentally Voice Truth Treaty.
Thank you so much. Do we have someone to second that?
Yes.
Councillor Fenellotis.
Yes, happy to second. Thank you.
Any debate?
No.
No debate. All in favour? Thank you so much. We still need to confirm the minutes of the meeting itself. Councillor Stafford. Thank you very much. Councillor Wilkes.
Happy to second.
Any debate? All in favour? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're off to a flying start. Now we have confirmation of minutes for. Do we need to do these proceedings? Yeah. Or do we leave with absence next?
Leave with absence.
She made Marissa's first thing.
Apologies, everyone. I'm just clarifying the order here. And these? And these and the leave of absence we have from Councillor Eaton requesting leave of absence from the 3rd of July till the 16th of July. Councillor Platten.
Yes, I'll move.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Eaton. Hang on, could you just, we have a very enthusiastic button pushing procedures tonight. Councillor Eaton, you have the call.
All I'm doing is declaring a conflict of interest material. I've got really nothing to gain from it, but and I'll remain in the chamber. Thank you. I won't debate.
Material has to make. He said material.
If you material, I understand you need to leave if you say the word material. Thanks, Councillor Eaton. Thank you for your cooperation. Much appreciated. We have Councillor Femiel. I'm just waiting for Councillor Eaton to leave. Councillor Femiel, seconding. Thank you. Thank you very much. Who moved? Councillor Patton, Councillor Femiel, just second. Any debate? All in favour? Would so, thank you, carried. Is someone, thank you, Desmond, to please. Okay, I'm just checking that everyone's happy at the front here. Okay, we're now up to the Mayor's report. The only thing I just wanted to say to everyone, as many of you know, I was in Canberra last week for the meeting of the Australian Local Government Association. I have requested that for our July meeting that I do a presentation on that, so I can actually feedback in a lot more detail rather than taking your time tonight. So to pass the Mayor's report, Councillor Femiel, are you moving?
Yes.
And Councillor Wilkes, are you seconding?
Okay, yes, happy to second.
And just before we leave this, I do want to also acknowledge and the incredible work that our CFS does in our community. And I just want to bring to our attention two volunteer firefighters from the Mawson Group. And I know many of us are very close to many of the volunteers. In fact, there's a number of volunteers of the CFS on our elected body here. And I just want to bring to everyone's attention Ian Robert Taverner, who is a member of the Morphett Vale CFS. And he was very involved in all sorts of things, including supplying boots and gloves and khaki uniforms and all sorts of things. Ian was very busy in his early years as a volunteer responding to many bushfires within the district. He attended the Ash Wednesday bushfires, where he led strike teams in the Adelaide Hills, and many of us will remember that. And so I just want to make note of his work, and I will pass on some information to others as well. And I also want to note the passing of Donald William Nicol, who joined the CFS Brigade in Blewett Springs way back in the January 27, 2008. And he had more than 15 years of service in positions of senior firefighter, brigade lieutenant, and in 2022 was voted the captain there. He also helped as a strike team leader, served in not just deployments here in our own local community, but attended Port Lincoln 4 times, the Cuddly Creek Fire in 2019. And he was a very quietly well-loved person with a great sense of humour. So I'm just wondering if we might just stand for 1 minute, not just to recall these two gentlemen, but also all the work of our emergency services that support our community. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And now to pass the, yes, sorry, Councillor Eaton.
Thank you. Just the Deputy Mayor's report.
Yes.
It talks about a meeting of the Northern Hills District Reference Group on the 7th of June. That didn't occur. It's actually happening tomorrow.
Okay.
So we need to adjust that. Thank you.
All those in favour to pass the Mayor's report with that amendment? Thank you. Motion is carried. Thanks, everyone. We now have some very lovely pieces of information. Many of you will know that at the Local Government Association, Professionals Association recently, we were recipients of 2 fabulous awards, and would you like to begin this conversation and tell us about the excellence in the cross-council collaboration with the Advanced Care Directive Project? And just remember to say who you are.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Weir. Stuart Purvis, I'm Acting Director of Community Services. Yes, as Mayor Weir advised, the local government professionals run an annual awards program across the state. So it's the annual Leadership Excellence Awards. And the purpose of this is to recognise outstanding and achievement and innovation in local government. So last May we were awarded a cross-council collaboration award for our Advanced Care Directives Project, for which we're very proud. In partnership with the cities of Holdfast Bay, Marion and Mitcham, we applied for and received $100,000 through the Office for Ageing Well. And that was to develop a sustainable model to increase the awareness and uptake of advanced care directives by older members of our community. Just by way of background, an advanced care directive, or an ACD, is a document that empowers individuals to make clear legal arrangements for their preferred future healthcare, end of life, living plans, and other personal matters, should they not be able to do that at some point in their future. And the reason that this was that we sought the funds for this was that the 2019 Lacey review identified that there was poor uptake and recommended a larger role for local government in supporting the autonomy and self-determination of its community through the completion of an ACD. City of Onkaparinga led the collaborative project across with the other three councils, and through that we delivered a peer-led model that can be sustainable within our existing resources. With the support of an expert steering committee, there were information-based workshops were developed, and easy to read, accessible resources, and a 30-minute online training package to help volunteers manage the risk and liability within the role and scope of what they would need to do for this program. Through this, we were able to have 12 fully trained volunteers who've been recruited across the 4 councils, and so far they've undertaken over 20 workshops with community groups. And through that, there's been over 200 participants so far. Some follow-up was undertaken with the first 150 participants, and the feedback that came back was very positive, and approximately 65% of those participants have now completed their own ACDs, which is a really great outcome. Through the project, there's been a range of resources which are now available to all South Australian councils to access if they wish to follow this up as well. So this collaborative project to showcase City of Onkaparinga as innovative and age-friendly, and I'd like to congratulate the Active Ageing team for their commitment to finding new ways to meet the community's need. And yeah, here's the fancy glasswork for the trophy cabinet.
Here we go. And congratulations to everyone involved. And for those of you who have not yet done an advanced care directive, you don't have to be elderly to do it. And I'd please encourage all of you to do it. It's a great way of reassuring your family that you've made decisions well in advance so they're not put in a difficult position. Congratulations, Stuart. Please pass on our sincere thanks for all the good work that's been done. And now we get to hear about a meadow as well. More things are blooming in our community.
Mayor and councillors, Kirk Richardson, Director of City Operations. So we're also very successful on the night with the award for environmental leadership. So this particular award category recognised the implementation of projects, initiatives or management practices that demonstrate significant real or potential benefit to the environment. And shown the key in this is that it needs to be shown that it can be adapted into other councils. So the Urban Flower Meadows Project was initially undertaken as a trial at the Robert Wright Park in Woodcroft, and then a larger meadow was formed at the Thalassa Park at Aberfoyle Park. The success of it, as you can see with the photos, we had more than 40 species of wildflowers that grew very well, attracted many pollinating insects. Lizards and birds returned back to the site and provided a home for the beneficial insects that help protect the gardens from pests, and importantly, then reduce the need for herbicides. I guess in presenting this award, I'd really like to acknowledge our open space operations team, mainly for their innovation, their passion. We allow them to be innovative and look for different solutions, and this was a great example of that taking place. And in particular, James Dott and Matt Briggs, who were behind this particular concept, which we're looking to roll out in further locations.
Thank you.
And
Thanks. Please pass on our thanks to James and all the people in the team. It's incredible to think that this is something like a beautiful garden is innovation, and I look forward to seeing it come out all over South Australia. People are talking about this project. I've certainly got asked a few times recently about it, so it's fantastic. Congratulations, everyone. It's something to be really proud of. Okay, now we're moving on to the next part of our agenda, which is deputations. And tonight we have Bridget Gardiner joining us. Is Bridget here? Yes, she is. If you'd like to come up, someone will help. Thank you, Councillor. And as Bridget's coming up, she's here tonight to speak to us. She's from Aldinga Beach, the Silver Sands and Select Beach Community Working Group. If you'd like to come up to the front here, Bridget, you'd be very welcome. And tonight she's going to be talking with us about vehicle access to beaches and the impact on hooded plovers. And just to remind you that you have 8 minutes to speak. There will be a little ding dong at the 2 minutes to go mark. And then would you be willing to answer any questions from elected members?
I'm hoping you give me a bucket.
Okay. Well, all I can say is the number of questions that we've had recently in the last 48 hours, anything to go by, this is a chamber that knows how to ask questions.
And just one question, is this the PowerPoint thing here?
So
Yeah.
That's right.
Hi,
Sue's just here to help you. So Bridget, you're very welcome and your time starts now.
I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay respects to their elders, past and present and emerging. I represent a group of concerned City of Onkaparinga residents who have asked me to make this deputation on their behalf. Our concerns are for the ongoing threat and detrimental impacts to the foreshore ecosystems and biodiversity caused by increased human activity and the negative effects of allowing vehicles to drive and park on our beaches. Our group currently has 3 petitions in limited circulation. The first is requesting the council to introduce further vehicle restrictions to Aldinga, Silver Sands and Select. At this point, I mentioned that Moana residents also want to be involved in this. I've been approached by several. In a year where we are predicted to have weather patterns that will see 2023 the hottest year ever recorded, and for the next 5 years, we will potentially see the hottest temperatures ever recorded. During a peak period of Christmas Day, early January and Australia Day, the numbers of vehicles on the beach were at capacity. It is this very real increase in the beach's regular being capacity during these peak times that has many local residents and visitors and stakeholders all deeply concerned at how unsustainable allowing unrestricted vehicle access to the foreshore is. With an ever-growing population in the region, combined with much shorter travel times from Greater Adelaide to access the City of Onkaparinga beaches, the current situation is unsustainable. There is substantial evidence of the damage that vehicles do to essential fauna that live on and in the sand. The fauna that live in the sand are essential food for the threatened hooded plover. In addition, the fauna is important prey for fish, crabs and organisms that make up this fauna that's a key structural and functional component of sandy beach ecosystems. The other driver for restrictions is community and beachgoer personal safety. Our petition requests for the extension of the existing vehicle-free area at Aldinga Beach to the north to Wattle Avenue. The extension of the area would fully protect the only remnant conservation sand dune area on the foreshore from vehicles impacting the pebble bank. It provides more vehicle-free habitat for the hooded plovers, additional safe vehicle-free area for families and beachgoers. Our petition requests that the permanent vehicle-free area be established on the foreshore adjacent to the Washpool Ghana Conservation Zone. The area should extend from the southern to the northern boundaries of the conservation zone and to the low tide watermark. The vehicle-free area would protect this internationally unique, culturally and ecologically important site from vehicular impact, provide a link between the conservation and foreshore for the enhancement of biodiversity. It would also provide another place for safe vehicle-free recreation, and along with the benefit of eliminating the use of the foreshore as a road to Sellex Beach. Our petition requests that the existing sanctuary zone at Sellex Beach be extended in a northerly direction to the Sellex Beach ramp. The extension would provide more vehicle-free recreation space for families and beachgoers. The current area is a permanent dog-off lead area, which does not suit safe family recreation away from potential harm from uncontrolled dogs. Our petition requests that permanent boom gates be installed at all 3 beach ramps. The benefit of this is that vehicles will not have access to the foreshore at night, and seasonal beach access can be more effectively managed. Nighttime hoon driving on these beaches is very common. It is very common during the seasonal closure on Aldinga, often coinciding and seemingly deliberately targeting areas adjacent to hooded plover nesting sites. In summer, drivers regularly switch off their headlights and hoon drive, showing no respect or understanding that pedestrians and people sitting could be at risk. Residents close to the beach are often kept awake at night by hoon drivers. Our petition requests that a permanent autumn to spring seasonal ban of vehicles access to the foreshore from autumn to late spring from the Silver Sands ramp extending to the Sellex Beach ramp. The benefit of this would be the entire foreshore has a chance to recover and rest from the impact of vehicles. Finally, our petition requests that Council urgently implement appropriate management of vehicles and crowd control during the entire summer season. With a record-breaking hot summers predicted, we can expect the beaches to be crowded all summer. Management is required for the entire period, not just public holidays. The protection of the pebble bank is essential. Current signage is ignored. Many pebble bank areas on these beaches are severely degraded. Vehicles and people should be restricted from the pebble bank to the low tide mark where hooded plover nesting and fledgling sites are. Council has allowed for some restrictions with this in the new proposed bylaw, but they do not offer sufficient protection to this vulnerable nesting bird. For years, residents have had to encourage Council to implement appropriate management of the peak beach days. There are traffic jams, not enough toilets, not enough rubbish bins, no education on appropriate driving and parking on the beach. Pedestrians are given no right of way. A permit system could be introduced for all vehicles, including City of Onkaparinga residents, that requires an online education section, which is also linked to vehicle registration and licence numbers. This is common practice in other states. Restrict the number of heavy SUV vehicle and off-road vehicles that can enter the beach at any one time. A higher fee of these vehicles could be charged to encourage less heavy vehicles on the beach. All vehicles could pay an entry fee, including residents of the City of Onkaparinga. Perhaps their fee could be less. The benefit is that people will respect and understand that the foreshore is a sensitive ecosystem that will benefit from added measures of compliance and protection. Council must seriously consider the long-term social, environmental and economic value that ongoing harm and degradation to the foreshore environment will have by the end of this decade for the future generations of flora and fauna and human enjoyment of this precious coastal resource. Thank you for this opportunity. Now I have the PowerPoint.
Yes.
That's, I do believe that's New Year's Day.
Yep, I think it is. And keep going.
And that is for some reason something that someone needs to take to the beach. This is someone launching a boat illegally, very common practice. That is from Sellex looking back to Aldinga. There's a big truck. That's one of the big days. That's on Aldinga Beach. And this is a video, so if I press it again, it should play.
Capacity is no longer there. Beaches that I've seen has actually become car parks in the end. And also, we are now more aware than ever of the importance of protection of habitat for wildlife and making the beaches safe, not only for wildlife, but also for people.
This is on Moana Beach. This is part of, this is kindly been donated by Davide, who did a video which was the City of Onkaparinga were involved with. That what they're doing there, BirdLife SA and Birds Australia. So as soon as you drive through any birds, it sort of just makes such a menace for them and their lifestyle. Jet skis or Dinga Beach, very, very close to people in the water, as you can see. This one's about to take off. That one has taken off and you can see how fast it's gone. It's certainly not travelling at the legal speed. This is how close the cars parked to the hooded plovers. It's impossible on hot days for them to get away and get a drink or any food. This is just recently on the restricted, well, actually, no, that's the plover nesting. So that's how close they go to the enclosures. And it's also in the restricted stay away from zone. See the sign saying don't travel there. This is directly outside a hooded plover nest in winter last year, just as they said in August. There's not meant to be any cars. I took that photo myself. They deliberately do it. There's another one.
Bridget, your time's up. Do you want to just leave a slide up there for us? It's the one that you put.
There's lots.
Yeah.
That's sand that comes off the beach. That's pretty good.
All right, let's leave it with that. I'll now ask if people have questions.
Thank you, Maura.
Thank you, Bridget. Anyone would like to ask a question? Councillor Eaton.
Thank you for your presentation. Just in respect to the evidence that we actually saw on the video of driver behaviour, there's breaches of the Australian road rules there. Did you ever report that to the police?
The people report bad behaviour on the beach all the time, but the issue is that often we don't have fines on us, often there's not coverage, and it's common practice. And yes, it is reported, but I would say that probably a large percentage of what you've just seen there is not reported.
Well, in this particular case, you've actually got video evidence of the behaviour, so you can go to a police station and report it.
Well,
and that's the way of getting the message out.
Yeah, well, I will take that back to the man who supplied the footage, and actually it's part of a video that was made for the City of Onkaparinga and Birds Australia. So
provided it's happened within a 6-month period. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Councillor Themilotis.
I sort of want to go back to one of your pictures, which is the fenced off sort of hooded plover area and the signage.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you some questions about, well, it's obviously not working, but is there any suggestions you would make? Is there
Are you talking about the one which was when this one is where vehicles are actually not meant to be on the beach?
There was another,
and that is with boom gates.
There was another one.
Okay.
The cars parked really close up.
Okay, yeah.
That's the one I'm talking about in particular.
There we go, that one.
Yeah. Can you give some commentary on that? Would be great.
In fact, I can give you very personal experience. I have been a hooded plover monitor. I was a monitor, not this New Year's Day, because the previous one I left in tears. What happens is the vehicles and the people cram the birds in so far. You can see they're tiny little things about this high. They don't fly. They're not meant to fly. So they cannot traverse because in front of these cars towards the beach, there's a lot more cars. There are a lot of people. So they just sit there on hot days and can't get a drink and can't get any food. And they've often got the eggs are either just about to hatch, and it means that they die. And they're really such sensitive little things that it's human impact that is so intense, and that's why they must have a clear path to the beach. And a solution, I do believe Bird Australia has been onto the council. I have seen things written, and in fact, I know the council has been very supportive of the hooded plover program. And last year, Dudley, who is my team leader, got down to the beach at 5 o'clock in the morning to set up the barricades, and he made the bollards go right to the foreshore. But council came along and took them away because they were concerned about how the public would react. And it will be really hard to navigate because the plovers often, that's why the washed pool closure is really important, and extending the vehicle-free area at Aldinga Beach is really important because that section, if I could show you, this is the area on Aldinga Beach that we want to extend. This is particularly where they first nest, where those photos of the circle work were. That site is actually where they usually first nest and the wash pool. Once they've been there and the nests are not successful, they then move to the end of the beach where the Morgan Street ramp is, and that's where all the traffic comes on. So if there is good sense in extending the Wattle Road extension on Aldinga Beach and closing the wash pool because they're their chosen sites. Thank you.
Councillor June.
Thank you, Bridget. I really appreciate your presentation. And a lot of the issues and items you have raised are actually things that Councillor Yeomans and I have continued to raise as well. So you're not alone in a lot of that. I wondered about the Pebble Bank and I just wondered what the benefits are for not having cars directly in that vicinity.
If you look into the paper that I've just given you, there are some photos of how degraded the Pebble Bank is in Aldinga Beach. Now those pebbles are millions and millions of years old. They form the structure of the beach, and I probably am not the expert you should be talking to. There would be geologists who could answer these questions, but I do know from my own information that they are millions of years old, and that's what kept the structure of that coast intact. One of those photos, in fact, you should probably go down and have a good look because it won't be long and the road's going to fall away. Yeah, those ones. And I'm sorry about the quality of the printing. The Home Office has been tricky today. And also its habitat. It's really important habitat for all sorts of things. It's really structurally very, very important. And it's degraded almost to Wattle Avenue, but there are parts that are still intact. But I would say from Morgan Street to Wattle Avenue, and then on the other side on Norman Road, where they took sand away years ago for the Myponga Reservoir, that's also at high risk. That's why these closures are so important. And there is a photograph in here also, Lauren, of, I don't agree with the bike race. And I encourage everyone to read the notes that I've presented here because they give much more information about old arguments about parking, ramp fees, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a look at the photograph in there, there's one of how the bike race had fenced off the Pebble Bank at Silver Sands. They've managed the event. Something needs to be done. You know, the cars just drive up there. How do you keep them off? I can't answer that question myself. There's signs, no one reads signs. And without that Pebble Bank, the road will fall away, habitat's gone. It's really structurally important.
And I know it's important through our coastal adaptation work. I've heard the same thing. I just was interested. The other thing is around capacity of the beach. I don't know if you mentioned it or maybe I didn't heard it or I didn't hear it. Do you have a position on beach capacity, not necessarily a number, but do you think that that's important for us to be considering? I do think it's very important. In fact, I had to drag this. I had 30 minutes of waffle that I was going to talk about. It's not waffle, but in the proposal that I've got there, we've made some suggestions which could help. One of the suggestions that our group member had was that it could be an online ballot system for peak days. Maybe it could be offered to the City of Onkaparinga residents with preference, and then when that filled up, perhaps there could be 2 lots like we've had with COVID, and people do adapt. But the capacity causes huge problems. Safety is a huge issue. The plovers are at huge risk, and it's mess everywhere. The sand that comes off the beach on every tyre, every single tyre takes sand off that beach. So there would be solutions. I'm happy to work and come up with some creative ideas, but that was one that we had that restrict numbers. The study that I mentioned in there talks about the impact that off-road vehicles have on sand. There have been significant studies done now, particularly in Queensland. That's a thing there. The councils have acted, and in Noosa, they've made people go online, pass a test, prove that you can drive, you've got your registration, your license, all linked. I was about to say something else, but it's kind of gone. But the thing about the heavy vehicles, yes, in those photographs, if you have a close look, I got the magnifying glass out, and the percentage of vehicles are 4-wheel drives, SUVs, really heavy cars.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you for your presentation. I just mind my ignorance, but with the plovers, the length of the closure, what needs to, how long are they breeding for?
The breeding season goes from August until March.
Okay.
And I know that BirdLife Australia have suggested that the beach be closed to vehicles through that entire period.
Okay.
But they understand that this is a tricky tradition, but it has to be navigated at some point. And a pair of birds will have an unsuccessful site and they will go on to nest again until they have fledged babies, which means when a successful chick is hatched, they will then go on and do another. They will take that to the reef. Usually they trundle on down to Aldinga Reef. But if the fledged chick, which often happens, gets run over by a car, chased by a dog, whatever, dies, they will go back and they will nest again.
Okay.
That's if both parents have survived.
Okay.
And they will do it from August until March. And there would be stats on that if you wanted me to check it out. I could.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The other one is you've mentioned 3 different beaches that you've made suggestions to propose extensions, or what do you believe would be what beach would be most beneficial if you had to pick one?
Well, they're all connected. Aldinga becomes Silver Sand, which becomes Select. So it is that.
So all 3 sites are connected.
And probably the most important site is the Washpool Conservation Zone, because it is a conservation zone. It is the home of migratory birds. It's the home of the plover. It's a culturally significant site. It also allows people to drive to Select Beach, which they do all the time from Silver Sands. But to protect the existing remnant sand dunes to Wattle Avenue by extending the existing vehicle closure at Aldinga Beach north by a few hundred metres, that would protect the last remnant sand dunes in this whole region.
Okay.
So they're all, and that's the first place the plovers go to nest as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Councillor Bell.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. The statistics you mentioned, are you able to provide any statistics off your top of your head in regards to the number of chicks this year and the number of fledglings in that area?
I can't off the top of my head. If I had my email here, I could dig in and find it, but I could get that information back to you. It came in on an email the other day. They've just done an analysis.
Are you able to maybe indicate at least how many are lost?
The loss is much greater than the success. The areas that are getting the greatest success in South Australia particularly are the areas around West Beach, and also at Normanville they have a program which is a standout program. They're leading the game. They get more chicks there, and the city beaches are getting a few more as well.
And what specifically are they applying there?
Well, there's less interference, and the compliance is much greater. There are no vehicles. There is less interaction with things that shouldn't be on the beach.
So on that issue, car parking, I know you noticed that in the notes that it says that a lot of the people that live nearby around the area are happy for parking in the streets.
Yes, well, in a historic sense, if I could just dig down a little bit, I was pivotal in getting the first vehicle-free area on Aldinga Beach with another group, and it was a big fight. Parking was a big thing, but it has worked. But people are okay in the summer season because it's only for 6-7 weeks of the year that it's really crazy. However, the bike race, which is what I'm going to bring you back to again, they manage parking on the day of this, because on the day of the bike race, they close the beach. No one's allowed near the beach, not even us, we can't walk on it. They ferry people from a block of land on Norman Road in buses. And the punters who go to the race are all smiling. And years ago, when we first brought this topic up to the council back in the early 2000s, we suggested
that there could be buses, electric buses that could park at the Aldinga shopping centre and take the punters down to the beach. You know, there are ways. Unfortunately, council has allowed, it seems like over the decades, hasn't allowed full parking for the future, and the parking that is there is now used by the restaurants.
I was certainly shocked by some of the pictures that you showed highlighting the rows of cars. I grew up in that area in the 70s, and I can remember never seeing that many. In your opinion, is there how much extra traffic in numbers?
Oh, in numbers, it's horrifying. And to look at the beach on the busy days, it's actually heartbreaking. And the local residents and people like yourself who've been coming to the area for years are actually alarmed. There are no restrictions, there's no education, there's nothing. So it's maybe thousands, easily thousands. I mean, it's like a footy match, and there you've got all these people just doing what.
One more question, sorry, if I may. Do we know or have a number of accidents and or deaths even that have occurred?
Thankfully, there haven't been any recent fatalities. There was one many years ago, I do believe. There was a rollover on Aldinga Beach and a young girl was killed. Fortunately, there aren't any serious accidents, but I really don't know how it doesn't happen. And it would be really sad that that's what comes to,
Thanks very much, Bridget, and thank you, elected members. There's no further questions. Please thank the community groups and the members that you represented tonight for being able to present on their behalf as well.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So we're moving now into the section of our meeting which is called Reports of Committees. So those of you who are following online, so it's page 29. So we've got the Strategic Directions Committee meeting minutes first. Do we have a mover, Councillor Themialotis?
Yes, moved as written.
And Councillor Dew seconding it, is that correct? Any questions?
No, thanks.
All those in favour? The item is carried. The second one is the Audit and Risk Committee. So we're now up to page, those of you who are following electronically, on page 37. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Bell. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Eaton, thank you. Any questions? I might just mention that we had our very first Audit and Risk Committee as a result of the change in the chamber, and I was sitting in the gallery, so observing it all. Councillor Bell was able to be the proxy for Councillor Yeomans, who was unable to be there, and Councillor Pritchard was there with our three new independent members, Tim O'Loughlin as the independent chair. It was a really terrific meeting, very insightful questions by our independent members, and I think we're going to be very well served. Did you want to add anything, Councillor Bell?
Thanks, through the Mayor. I just wanted to highlight to the members that in the back of the package that we all received in our yellow folders, there is a Audit and Risk Committee discussion and actions arising from that was recorded, just for your interest. And certainly, if I may just add, certainly it was an honour and privilege to be at the meeting as a proxy, and it was wonderful to meet the independent members and to see their hard work and how happy also I can say that they were with what was presented to them. Thanks.
Thanks very much. All those in favour? The item's carried. The next report is 8.3, page 45. This is the Southern Region Waste Resource Authority. And do we have an update for this? I think we do, yes. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, there was a couple of questions asked by Councillor Wilkes today, and the responses are in your folder.
Thank you very much. Do we have someone to move? Councillor Greaves.
Thank you.
Do you wish to speak? Councillor Wilkes, are you seconding? Any debate? Any questions? All those in favour? Thank you. The motion is carried. Thanks, everyone. And I do just also want to record that Councillor Pritchard is thoroughly enjoying his role on this particular authority, and I know that he's being very valued as a representative of our chamber on that. So we now move into section 9, reports of officers, page 49. The first item is 9.1, fees and charges. Do we have? I think we do have an update. Yes.
So through the Mayor, we received informal questions this afternoon from Councillor Wilkes, which have been responded to in your yellow folders.
Thank you very much. So we have recommendations before us. Do I have a mover, Councillor Platten?
Yes, I'd like to move it.
Do you wish to speak? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eaton?
I'll second it.
Yes, thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Dew, a question or debate?
Questions, please.
Yes, go for it.
I just wondered, sorry, I'm a bit late. I needed to declare a general conflict of interest, but I'm staying in the room, and I'm being involved in the debate. Do I need to elaborate?
No, I think that, what else do you need to say? What specific conflict of interest? It's general.
This is the first time I've done this, so
Okay,
I'm not really sure.
We'll learn as we go.
Okay, so my reason is that my partner's the chair of Neperendi, but they receive no benefit from this.
Perfect. I think that passes the test. I'll just check. Yes, go for it.
I did wonder if centres, so community centres, have discretion, if their coordinators have discretion over the application of the fees, because I've known historically at times when examples like council have actually charged other council services for using a council facility.
Are you able to take that question? Thank you.
So through the Mayor, fee reductions or any in-kind support are sometimes provided for new pilot programs as a way to support those groups to start up, or when we're working in partnership to deliver the program. Any fee reductions or in-kind support provided to groups are approved by the manager. Centres generally don't charge for other council services to use the centre unless there is a cost associated with it. So if there's additional staff time or after hours costs that are associated, those costs will be charged onto that particular service.
Okay, and is that relatively new, Jade? I just know, like, from a couple of years ago or last year, there was an issue. But anyway, that's an individual issue. But has that always been long-standing?
So through the Mayor, I understand that is the process that has been in place for a little while.
Okay, all right, thank you. I noticed that Neperendi was a bit more expensive to hire than other community centres. And I just wondered, given there's probably a priority population group, why that would be the case.
So through the Mayor, the cost to hire Neperendi is in line with similar sized facilities. So programs delivered at Neperendi are often delivered in partnership with organisations, with council providing in-kind support of free centre use for those programs. So the target for room hire at Neperendi is significantly lower than all the other centres for that reason. So about $750 per year.
Okay, sorry, I read that wrong. Okay, good. And then my last question is there a discretion for charging for permits? So again, I use an example of a not-for-profit running an event on a council land, and kind of our approach at times has been ad hoc, where permits we've charged rather than in kind. And I just wondered if there's a process of like weighting for profit versus private versus community.
So through the Mayor, for not-for-profit community groups organising an event that is free to all members of the community can apply for sponsorship, which is effectively a waiver of the permit fee. And they can do that via an application, which is considered on a case-by-case basis by our team leader. There's no fee being charged. If there's no fee being charged to participants to join that event, that application will generally be approved.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and is there policy around that? You know, is there room for?
Through the Mayor, I understand that yes, there is policy around that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions? Any debate? Councillor Platten, did you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jade, for your assistance with that. We're now up to 9.2, so page 225. I think there's an update for this as well. Thank you.
So through the Mayor, we received informal questions from Councillor Dew, Councillor Wilkes and Councillor Bell regarding this report. They have been responded to today and also in your yellow folders. And I just want to thank take this opportunity to thank all of the elected members for sending in your questions early. It certainly means we can be more efficient in these spaces, and also means that information is already on the public record. They've already been distributed and made visible. So I just want to thank. I know that makes a big difference to staff and our levels of efficiency. So can I have someone to move this motion, please? Councillor Eaton.
Yes, but I do have a question. That's
Thank
all.
you. Go ahead.
Yeah, on page 231, I noticed that this is in respect to the rebate for religious groups, but I noticed that there's 4 entries there relating, giving private individuals names. Can we have an explanation there, please?
Certainly. I will just see if someone can assist us with that.
So through the Mayor, the rebates are not to particular individuals, but I believe that the business name is in an individual name or trustee name.
Okay.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Greaves, thank you very much. Do you wish to speak to the motion? Do we have any further questions? Councillor Eaton, to close. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the huge amount of work that goes into these little pieces that might only take 2 minutes, but it's a bit like, cooking a feast that the whole family seems to devour in 3 minutes. So I appreciate all of the work that goes in. We are now up to item 9.3, so that's page 249 for those of you who are following electronically, and we have an update.
So through the Mayor, we received informal questions from Councillor Dew regarding this report. Those questions were responded to today and are also in your yellow folders.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dew, are you moving or did you have a question?
I'm moving, thank you.
Do you want to, which one are you moving?
I'd like to move these.
D?
Yeah.
So item 2D?
Yeah.
Do you wish to speak to that?
Yes, please. I feel like this is our opportunity to influence and support people in our community who are doing it tough, given we've already made the decision around increasing rates by CPI. This is our opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people that potentially are in homes that have increased in valuation. And so to me, 38% is reasonable for a fixed amount. Councillor Gomans and I represent the South Coast Ward, as you'd know, and our ward has the highest percentage of mortgage stress across Onkaparinga. Approximately 6 years ago, Udinka had the 5th highest number of mortgage defaults across Australia. I'm absolutely on the record and I'll bring it up over and over again, but for our council, an opportunity to apply an equity lens to our decision making and acknowledging that not everyone has the same resources and not everyone's born into the same privileges. So as a council, we want to be responsive to that. And the fixed charge component is one way to do that by reducing pressures on lower evaluated properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clayton, did you wish to second or did you have a question?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, please. Just a quick note. It won't be anywhere near as good as my fellow councillor here, but I also agree that this is an opportunity for us to give lower income households a bit of a cut, and so I fully support 38%.
Thank you, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Brooks, did you have a question or do you wish to debate?
I'll debate, please.
Time starts now.
Lauren, I think you picked a D as a reasonable solution here. I want to point out on page 256, the financial summary, that council has actually stated that the adoption of the rate modelling structure does not impact the total amount of rate revenue raised by council. So picking whichever one we picked didn't matter how much money we were going to get. The outcome here was if we picked a lower percentage rate, then the people who are struggling will not have to pay as much, and the excess of the rates will be picked up by the people with a higher value in their house. In addition, the property valuation increase does not increase the total amount. So again, we're not going to get, an increase in revenue depending on what we picked, but the one that you have picked, Lauren, is very fair to all of our community. And I think we need to get this right. It's so important that we take the time, and we know we're working incredibly hard in this chamber to try and make sure that we can help our community. The last thing we want to do is raise rates. I'm going to end it there. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Stafford, a question or debate?
Debate, please.
The time starts now. Can we just reset the clock, please? Thank you very much.
I'd like to speak against going for the 38%, in favour of going for the 35%.
So at the moment, this is the motion before us, so you need to speak against this.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm speaking. Yeah. So I think if our goal here is to, as far as we know, do the most equitable choice of taxation, I think going for the 35% is the best choice there, if that's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thinilitis, did you wish to speak? Debate?
Yeah, just really short debate, because I just want to put this on the record. And I don't think any option really would have been the greatest option. I just want to talk about the cost of living crisis, because we talk about people who are struggling. And the thing is, no one's exempt. So we're all struggling. I don't think you can say there's one particular group that deserves a little bit more over another. And those people with higher property values, and a lot of them probably will be in my area, they could be considered asset rich and cash poor, but that asset is their principal place of residency. They don't have multiple properties, they don't have boats, they don't have all these fancy things. They just happen to have purchased probably the cheapest property in a nice area, and the value's gone up. So these people are going to get stung, and they're going to be hit as well. So again, I'll just highlight the cost of living crisis is affecting all residents. I wouldn't say there's one particular group that is struggling. We're actually all struggling, which makes this very hard for me, because I don't see any solution that's going to be a balanced solution. So this isn't debating necessarily for or against, but it's just highlighting that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yeomans, question or debate?
Just debate.
Okay, thank you. Your time starts now.
Along the lines of what was mentioned before, a ratepayer's cost of living pressure is strongly aligned with their income and household debt, and these are factors that the council is blind to. Therefore, it's challenging to determine precisely the impact on ratepayers by lowering or increasing the fixed rate, in my view. Decreasing the fixed rate would generally assist those with low home valuations and low income. However, decreasing the fixed rate will not assist those with low income and high valuations, or those ratepayers with high valuations but suffering mortgage stress due to the increasing interest rates. Just because your property rises in value does not suggest your income goes up to compensate for having to pay high council rates. I would suggest the current cost of living pressures would be affecting all households in the city, regardless of income or regardless of if they're renting or homeowners with a mortgage. At either end of the spectrum of the five models that we were presented with here tonight, and specific reference to page 255, setting the fixed charge at 45% means that 94% of ratepayers will be paying between $100 and $200 more in their rates this year, and only 2% of ratepayers will be paying between $200 and $300 more in their rates. By comparison, setting the fixed charge at 35% means that 58% of ratepayers will be paying between that $100 to $200 more in their rates this year, but that 12.8% of ratepayers will be paying between $200 and $299 in their rates this year. So after my thinking about this, I was keen to take the middle ground, as I simply do not know the impact on the general ratepayers with the highest or lowest fixed charge. And a fixed charge of 40% provides some relief for those ratepayers with lower property values and lower incomes, but only affects about half as many ratepayers with the high property values, but who may have low incomes and are experiencing cost of living pressures, as there would be if the lowest fixed rate was charged. So in light of that, the 38% just below that middle ground, but I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves. Question or
debate? Thank you very much. I guess I just wanted to reflect particularly what Councillor Thinilitis and Councillor Yeoman have just mentioned. I mean, playing around with the fixed charge. It really is just fiddling around the edges. I think the hard decision that really needs to be made is when we actually set the rates. This particular way of actually adjusting the lever was used, I think, last year when there was a sort of statewide review of housing valuations where we did see some very big fluctuations. But it really is just pulling a lever to try and balance things out across our residents and those whose valuations in particular have increased significantly. I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference. We will still raise the same amount of rates. But I guess, Councillor G, you are correct in saying those people who do have the lower valuations will have some relief in their rates. It really does, strike a chord when, Councillor Themeliota said, everyone is under this pressure. There are lots of people who are asset rich and cash poor. There's lots of people who are struggling with very, very high value homes, but no increase in their day-to-day income. So, it's a balancing act. Are we actually hitting the right note with this one? Who knows? I guess we will find out in the feedback we get from our residents when we do finally set the rates and when we start to receive those notices. But the reality is our costs have gone up. Our residents' costs have gone up, and that needs to be reflected in the income that council generates if we are going to continue to be able to deliver the services that our residents want from us.
Thank you. No further speakers. Do you wish to close, Councillor G?
Just relating to 2 points that I've heard. One is that I understand if a property is valued higher, although their cash flow might not still be great. I think in comparison to someone that has a lower evaluated house, that the person with the higher valuated house potentially has more choice. And I think that choice is so important in our livelihoods. The other thing is in relation to the cost of living pressures. I completely understand that we're all experiencing that, but I guess in addition to that, there's many people experiencing mortgage stress in addition to the cost of living pressures, and I feel like they need to be at the centre of this decision tonight.
Thank you. So I'll put the motion. So it's recommendation 2D. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The motion is carried. All those against, sorry. 1, 2, 3. The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Now we're up to item 9.4. Thank you, staff, again, for the huge amount of work that goes into that modelling and the support to help us make a decision. Very much appreciated. Is there I don't believe there's an update for this item. So is that the council approves the submission to the City of Onkaparinga's feedback to the Greater Adelaide Regional Organisation of Council's annual business plan. So the Local Government Association has 2 bodies that report into their board. The Greater Adelaide Regional Organisation of Councils is the one that we're a part of. The other one is the regions outside of our metropolitan area. So do I have a mover for this item? I can see how you're all jumping to it. Thank you very much, Councillor Eaton. Did you wish to have a question? No,
I'm quite happy to move it. I think that outlines our position and we'll get the message across. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Councillor Greaves?
Seconding. Thank you.
You're nodding in agreement there. Thank you. Councillor, did you wish to close? All those in favour? Thank you. That motion is carried. Item 9.5, so we're up to page 297 for those of you who are following electronically. And I need to declare an interest here. So I'm going to leave the meeting and I'm declaring an interest because I am applying to go to the Climate Summit local government conference, and so therefore I have a material interest in this matter. So I'm now handing over to the CEO who will manage this preceding part of the meeting. Thank you, Mayor. In the absence of a deputy mayor, members, we now need to vote or move someone to chair this agenda item. So I'll leave it to you to please move or elect. Councillor Thamiliotis.
I would like to move that Councillor Wilkes take the chair for this report, and happy to do a really brief debate to explain my reasoning, if allowed. Thank you. Really brief debate is that Councillor Wilkes is the Deputy of SDC Chair and has just completed her training in this. So I believe Councillor Wilkes will do an outstanding job in Chair, and I hope you will support me with this decision. Thank you.
Councillor Platten.
Yes, I would also, I'll second it. I'd like to see Councillor Wilkes up in the big seat.
All those in favour? Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you, Councillor Thamiliotis, and thank you, Councillor Platten, for this opportunity. So I will ask if there's someone to move this motion.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wilkes. I'd like to move the motion as written.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Yeah. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Yes, I'll second the motion.
Excellent. Perfect. Would you like to debate? Perfect. So.
Thank you, through the chair. I just want to support the motion and highlight how important it is for our principal member and others, if we can, to attend as many events as possible that allow us and the mayor to engage and network, to expand knowledge and find solutions and problems, really to present ideas, to work with so many other people, to learn from other fields of interest and essentially an education opportunity, because together, only together can we solve many, many problems that we're trying to solve. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton. Councillor Eaton.
I'm certainly speaking against the motion. What we have seen is a number of interstate trips already. We're actually starting to see a reflection of what happened in 1990, so in 2016-17, and that concerns me. I think that there is apparently going to be another conference held here in Adelaide at some stage. I prefer to see staff go to this, and I certainly don't want to see this funding from this year being pushed off to fund something for next year. In fact, what we've got, if we don't agree to this, we've got the opportunity to return around about $9,000 to come off our deficit. I've got a resident in Thalassa Ward that I've spoken to that needs some assistance on fencing to keep people out from trespassing from a neighbour, a reserve. It's a single woman with a young child, and she can't afford the fencing. I prefer to see us put $4,000 in towards supporting her for the fencing in a payback program rather than wasting this money. So I do not support it, and I urge you to do the same. We're seeing what we saw.
Councillor Yeomans.
Yeah, just a debate. Yeah.
Sure, perfect.
Yeah, I'm sort of with Councillor Eaton on this one to a degree. I've just got some notes here I'll just read out so I won't miss anything. The annual budget for 22-23 is $30,000 for elected members, courses and conferences. To date, the available balance of the budget for courses and conferences for the 22-23 financial year is approximately $9,000, which includes provisions for any training already scheduled and costing for the mayor's attendance at this conference in September. Attending the conference will cost $2,380, excluding additional costs for transfers between the airport and venues,
and for reimbursement for meals not included in the conference program. It's fair to say attending this conference will end up costing over $2,500. I'm certainly not one to stifle training, education and personal development, but when these services are provided by outside entities, they're a business of making money. The attendance becomes a consideration and there needs to be a balance between the benefits of the conferences against the cost and impact on the budget. From my personal experience, I can see a great deal of value in attending conferences, particularly those of an operational nature or when there is a focus on networking with direct counterparts. Meeting counterparts who share similar experiences, networking with subject matter experts and general learning is important and can be of great value to an organisation. And there is a cost of doing business. I also believe attending some conferences can be put into the category of nice to have, but not necessarily business critical. I have no doubt there'll be some benefit to council with the mayor attending this, but spending over $2,500 to attend what I consider is a non-business critical conference is money we just don't have, nor should we be spending, in my opinion. We've heard time and time again about the council's debt. This is one example where we can start to show the community that this chamber is serious about debt reduction. To that end, I suggest the remaining budget for 22-23 is taken off the existing debt. There's no need to totally expend an allocated budget. It's our money, and I think we should be saving this money instead. Thank you.
Councillor Audit. Sorry. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's good. Thank you. Just some brief debate. And along the lines of the two councillors that just spoke, because what I did was I really looked into what's going to be coming out of this conference. I think there's a bit of I had to laugh a little bit that you have to fly someone to a climate conference, but what the conference is really doing, it's the electric vehicle showcase and conference on electric vehicles. Now, we're already rolling that out. We've already actually just done a decision just a week ago at SDC on this issue. So then I had to think of, well, what value is going to come out of a decision that's already been made by this chamber? We're already doing work in this space. The gala dinner, you know, I don't see that of any value really, maybe networking, but it really came down to what this showcase was delivering. And because we've already made decisions in this space, it really questioned to me, what's the point of going, and if there is a more valuable conference that this money could be utilised for, or a more valuable conference that we could send our mayor to, where she's advocating on things that we're fighting for rather than things we've already made a decision on. Councillor Willow.
I don't support this one. I have a concern about also the conference the mayor has just attended, because we have 3 levels of government, and this is in this type of forum, decisions can be made on behalf of councils. They passed 145 motions at that thing on the weekend in Canberra. And so we effectively we have 5 tiers of government. We have the council, we have the local government association, we have the National Local Government Association, then we have the state government, whatever. So non-government organisations, sorry, non-elected organisations like the World Health Organisation, the World Economic Forum, they're approaching councils, and they can come through this avenue and get approval so that councils are all singing to the same song sheet of these things. And this is a conference to get councils singing maybe to the same song sheet, but I'm not supporting this particular thing.
Councillor Jude.
I actually have a question.
Councillor Willett, sorry, can you just please push your button? Oh, thank you. Sorry, just once more. Thank you.
I just had a question. I just wondered if there's if we have attempted or will attempt to actually showcase the work that's happening at conferences. Did that happen this time, or would we look to do that in the future, where we're showcasing the great work that's happening, and therefore we need our mayor or an elected member and staff actually attending? Is that common practice?
Through the chair, we tend to try and showcase the things that we do, and I suppose when there are conferences, when there are other levels of government, which can be other levels of funding, That's an area where we are able to influence. We're not speaking at this event, so that's obviously we're just attending, but always the networking provides opportunities to actually showcase. There is a lot that we are proud of in the organisation and what we do regarding climate response, and certainly things around coastal erosion and adaptation. We would definitely be looking for more funding resources from a federal level, but I think that is something that, as the council formal spokesperson, that the mayor does undertake.
Yeah. Can I also add to that? Mayor is going to do a presentation next council meeting outlining all of the benefits of her travelling, as she did to the National Local Government Association, and she also plans, I believe, to do one if she was to travel here. Councillor Stafford.
Just a question. Do we have any idea why the flights are approximated to cost as much as $1,000?
Julie, are you happy to take that?
Through the chair, I don't know specifically why, but the cost of travel at the moment is extremely expensive across the board, I'd say.
Councillor Platten.
Just a question. If the mayor was to not attend or not get permission to attend this event, would council staff attend it?
Through the chair, I think some of the questions have been provided and responses by the governance team. There hasn't been any application from council staff at this point.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Willett, this must be a question.
It's a question further to Councillor Stafford's question. Is it a first class ticket or is it normal economy class?
Okay. So Karen's happy to answer that. Council's elected member allowances and benefits procedures clearly sets out that they're economy class airfares. Thank you. Okay, so we have no more debate. Karen, did you want to provide an update? Apologies, members. I was supposed to do an update at the beginning of this item, and that is that due to the mayor's attendance at the National General Assembly, there is a discount that will be applied, and I'm unsure whether that's in the $50 mark for attending the National General Assembly, and then if you were to also attend this item that is under discussion. Okay, thank you. So if we have no more questions and no more debate, we'll put it to us. Hardy, would you like to close? Okay, thank you. So we'll put it to vote. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3. All those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The motion is lost. Okay, thank you. .6, so page 305. And this is our wonderful council and committee reporting schedule. Councillor Themialotis.
Yeah, happy to move as written.
Thank you very much. Councillor Green.
Seconded. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? Debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? The item is carried. Thank you very much. Now we move into the section of our meeting known as questions on notice. And our first item is is written on our documents here. So we've got a number of questions. I think there are 7 questions on notice. They are all either answered in the agenda or in your papers. Is that correct? Yep. No, there's still one outstanding. I think that is item 10.3 around water assets. Do we need to make a note of that?
No, that's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes. Got it. Thank you, everyone. So those items are there. And then we move to motions on notice. Item number 11.1. Yep. And we have an update. Thank you.
Just to
jump in before Councillor Stafford moves this motion. This motion is actually suggesting a change to the code of practice, and members may remember that when we're voting on the code of practice proceeding as a meetings, we need 2/3 of the membership present eligible to vote in favour of that. So the calculation for the 11 members here tonight is that for this to get up, we'll need 8 members voting in the affirmative.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stafford. In attendance, correct? Yeah. Councillor Stafford,
Yes, I'd like to move the motion.
do you wish to speak to it now?
Yes, please.
Off you go.
So I'm putting forth a bit of an experimental motion. I think we've got a disconnect of information between the people and the council, us as elected members. I think that's obvious, especially around the budget. Many people don't know how the rate system works and how the budget is worked out. Where their money goes, all they see is the money going out. I'm proposing a possible solution, maybe not the best, but a possible solution to give the public a bit of a view beneath the hood, behind the curtain, at the learning environment for elected members, so that the public also has the opportunity to opt in to learn. So many EM sessions are actually already open to the public. The only thing that this motion would do is to make it more accessible to people who, for whatever reason, don't opt in to watch these elected member sessions in person. I'm aware that we've had basically no members of the public actually come to these elected member sessions as is, but I think this could actually open the door to make it a lot more accessible for many people. So if this passes, the elected members and presenters will still have the ability to not consent to being recorded, and we can simply not record things. So even if this passes, you could very well just spite the motion by never giving consent. But if you do give consent during the EM sessions and say you feel like you ask a stupid question, or you say something that's confidential or better left unsaid, you can rescind your consent. For pricing concerns that we may have of fitting out the Gilbert room for recording capabilities, I don't see why we couldn't just use this room that we're in right now for EM sessions. Use what we actually already have capable. The goal of this motion isn't to put people under pressure and make them feel like they're being watched. It's just one possible way that we can address the information gap between the public and between our organisation, and bring the community with us as elected members in our learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Will you push your button, please? Sorry. Thank you.
So second.
Thanks, Councillor Willett. Did you wish to speak to the motion?
I think it's, yes, I can say a few things.
Would you mind standing? Thank you.
Yeah, I support that motion. I think it gives great accountability. Also, it enables people to feel on the level with council a lot more. I think it'd be great for the council overall. And thanks, Cop.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wilkes, question or debate?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So Councillor Stafford mentioned that we could use this room. Does this room have the ability, and I'm pretty sure I'm just getting confirmation in my brain, does this room have the ability to be able to record if we were to do EM sessions in here? And does the Ray Gilbert room have that?
I'm just double checking. Off you go.
I'm getting head nods, so I was
ask our governance expert here.
Through the Mayor, yes, this room does have the ability to record just as it does council meetings, but all members would have to remain in their seats and use their microphones for recording to be successful. The Ray Gilbert room does not have recording capabilities.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Platten.
Thank you. Just a question. Councillor Stafford mentioned in his opening that we would have the option to rescind our permission if we said something incorrect. Does this particular motion extend to that?
I don't believe it does. That would be my advice. I'm just checking. Yes, I think that's what I'm accurate. there may be it may be possible. Councillor Eaton, do you want to?
Yeah, I've got, just in response to that, we had an example in the last chamber where I'd actually, and we're in a council meeting and I'd actually.
Question or debate?
No, this is debate.
Okay, go.
Okay, and what happened, I can see it, I'd asked the acting mayor to go into confidence and I was raising going into confidence and we ended up with a breach of the Ombudsman's Act. Elected member sessions are an informal type session, a learning session for us, and it's the ability to ask those questions. And sometimes those questions, to a lot of people, might think they're stupid, but it's an informal process, and the public can come along. They get notice of it. They know that we're going to have something on the rating policy for the year. If they want to come along, they have, and in the past they've done that. They've sat there and listened. Yes, we do have those confidential ones that occasionally occur, but I certainly cannot support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves, a question or a debate?
Bit of a rhetorical question, actually, just so I can get it on the record. So when we have elected member sessions and council is presented with information factual at the time, is it subject to change? So, for example, some of our discussions around our rating.
Yeah, I'll give that to the acting CEO because I think that's probably the right spot.
Yep, thank you.
Through the mayor, yes, the information you received and things that come back to the chamber and report are subject to change.
Okay, thank you. I'll debate very quickly, and I thank you, Councillor Stafford, for bringing this up. I do think it is a potential solution for making the business of council more open and transparent. It's not to say that it's not accessible right now. I guess, though, a note of caution is sometimes when things are recorded, people take them as fact. They take them as this is it, set in stone. Whereas when we have elected member sessions, it is often an opportunity both for council staff and for elected members to bounce ideas back and forth, to contemplate particular modelling around rating or, basically any of the business of council. But it's not necessarily what eventually comes to this chamber and what a decision is made on. And I think that's the value of the informal nature of EM sessions, is that we can actually have those conversations without, I guess, someone sitting on your shoulder going, but you said this, why didn't you make a decision exactly as it was discussed at this point in time? EM sessions are open to the public. And yes, there have been times, where we do have a level of public interest. And I think there have been occasions at my time in this chamber where we have had people come along very, very specifically about particular issues that council is considering. But I do think it is potentially going to have some unintended consequences if we go down this path, where people will, I guess, have some unanticipated expectations not met. Because things have changed and because different decisions are made as to those that were discussed at an EM session. So unfortunately, I'm not going to support this tonight. I think if there is another way, then I think we need to have a conversation about, how we can encourage more people to take notice of the business of council, not just at rates time, but throughout the year. And I think that would be a much more effective way of getting people, I guess, in the building to actually listen to the discussion and debate and see behind that curtain about how we actually conduct our business.
Thanks, Councillor. I just want to go back to Councillor Patton's question around subject to consent. So there would be opportunities, probably maybe multiple opportunities, not a one-off opportunity. So that may well be a way of that it is captured in the motion as it stands. Any further questions, debate? I'll put the motion. Oh, sorry, Councillor Stafford to close.
Yep, I appreciate all the viewpoints shared, and I think we've raised a lot of good points. As I said, this is just a possible solution to the information gap. It may not very well be the best, but I think it would be a good first step in opening up the transparency of how we do things. But I'm just happy that we can highlight and focus on it as an issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Stafford, for bringing it to our chamber. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? 1, 2. Those against? The motion is lost. Thank you very much. Item 11.2, Councillor Stafford, I think we've got an update, have we? Yes.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, where this motion again alludes to a change to the code of practice, they will need the 2/3 of those here and present eligible to vote.
Thank you for keeping us on our toes with all the rules and regulations. Councillor Stafford, do you wish to move this motion? Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, please. So as I understand it, the way that we publish the recording of our meetings is through YouTube, through a hyperlink on the website. It's free to host videos on YouTube. It likely will stay that way unless they want to run their company into the ground. So this would effectively cost us nothing. It would just make it easier for the public to access recordings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Platten. A question, debate, seconding?
Question first, please. At present, there's no cost, as Councillor Stafford has alluded to, for us to keep audiovisual up on YouTube. Is staff time taken to take YouTube footage down?
Do we have someone who can answer that question? Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
Yes, Councillor Passion. Every month we'll go through what meetings are up there, and we have to just go through and take them down.
Councillor Wilkes. Sure. Sorry, Councillor Wilkes, can I shut you all down and bring back Councillor Platten? Because did you? I meant the microphone, not you. Apologies. Poor language at this hour. Keep going, Councillor Platten.
Very sorry, I did that. That was my fault. Now I've lost my train of thought. If at any moment YouTube decided to charge for videos, we could take them down. Is that correct?
Would you like to try and answer that question?
We would need a council resolution to allow us to take them down, or otherwise we would have to look at funding them. So I would imagine that we'd bring that issue back into the chamber.
Yeah. And is there any other reasons why we don't keep videos up for longer than 24 months?
Through the chair, it was a decision of the chamber. Originally, I think we kept them up for 3 months, and then the further decision of the chamber elected to have them up for 2 years. There wasn't any science behind that length of time, I don't believe.
I'll just move into a really quick debate.
Hang on, the motion hasn't been seconded.
Sorry, I'm happy to second
it.
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor. Feel free to now speak.
Thank you. I came to this suburb chamber with a platform of transparency and accountability, and I firmly believe that given the opportunity that council meetings are freely available to be left uploaded, and there's no particular reason why we remove them, I fully support leaving videos up for longer than 24 months. If at any time they do cost money to be there, then I'm sure it will be brought to our attention and come back to the chamber.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dew, question or debate?
It's a question, thank you. It's just, I've put myself in the shoes of someone who's interested in looking at a council meeting from 5 years gone by or something like that. And I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of how they can extract that information and know what council meeting to look at. Is there a process already that staff can actually support people, community members to go through if they had an item of interest and therefore they wanted to view the record of it?
So you mean like a council search engine embodied in a human being?
Yeah. But have to scroll through years.
Okay, we've got someone who can help us with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Ware, the minutes of the council meeting are actually the official records. So all the minutes are on the website, and there's a really quite intelligent search engine on the website, which allows you to search through the year, what type of meeting it was, keywords that will bring up all relevant minutes or agenda that relate to that particular subject, ensuring that you have the right wording. That's probably the clincher. And then once you've got the date of the meeting, you could then refer to the cache of that meeting, and then you'll find the video meeting recording. But just to add to, while I've got the opportunity, if this motion gets up, it will only be effective as of today. So anything prior to today will be removed in the 2-year period, because the people who recorded in those meeting videos of the understanding that it would only be available for the 24 months.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Councillor Wilkes, question or debate?
I will debate, please.
Okay, time starts now.
So Karen, you're 100% right. It's keywords. That's essential. I'm saying that because I have scrolled through these meetings coming into council. I have learned that these are long standing issues. Lots of them take time. I'll mention the word toilets because that's the one I scrolled back for and had a good look and watched the meeting. And I think it's really important to understand that things go longer than 24 months. I mean, we all know that. And if we're in the community, or you know, a councillor or community member, and you want to know what's going on and you want to see the debate, you can jump on there, use your keywords, check out your toilets, beach road, and you can see what people thought. And I think it's really great if we push it a little bit longer than 24 months because it's free. It's not going to cost us anything, and it allows that transparency, and it really gives the public that opportunity to see what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stafford, would you like to close? Thank you. I will put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried.
Was that 8?
That was everybody. It was unanimous. There was a word I was trying to think of. It's unanimous. Item 11.3, which is page 331. Councillor Stafford. This is your motion. Do you wish to move it?
Could I spend like a minute of my debate time just for everyone to read it? Because it's changed significantly.
Okay. Yes, your time starts now, but we'll treat it as reading time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that thoughtful innovation. This time start now. He wants to use a minute of it for people to read. Looks to me like most people have completed reading, if I'm looking at their eye contact to the screen. So Councillor Stafford, do you want to speak?
Yeah, so the intention of this motion is to spend a little bit less money. Probably not a significant amount, but spending a little bit less money sounds good to me. I think the previous version of this motion, which you would have seen before it was amended, might have been a little bit too heavy-handed. I understand many members go straight to council from other commitments, so they need these meals. And I have to give a shout out to Councillor Platten for giving me the heads up and suggesting these amendments. So what this amendment means is that if you want meals, you opt in, essentially in perpetuity until, whenever. And it's recorded under our benefits. And if you forget to order, you have a standard meal choice. If you don't want meal, you just don't opt in. It's left at that. Additionally, I understand we may be undergoing a review of these meals anyway, but this includes making the suggestion of looking for cheaper meals, perhaps opening up the ability for a charitable organisation to get involved. So this motion ideally should lead to less waste and a bit more transparency as the meals will be recorded under the benefits
Thanks, councillor Stafford. Councillor Thinami-Lotus, question, secondly.
Happy to second.
Do you wish to speak?
I'll just really briefly, I think the movers hit the nail on the head there. I do like the opt-in, opt-out method, and just so elected members know, you can opt in and opt out of your salaries. There's an option. You can opt in, opt out of meals, and you can opt in, opt out of making requests to get paid for any travel or any other deductions as well. So there's plenty of opt in, opt out options at this council. I do like the idea of reviewing meal policy. I know that most of the meals are under $20, but I think there are cheaper alternatives and maybe some different options we can go forward looking at. And I'd just like to thank Councillor Stafford for testing the chamber on a number of notices of motion and making these changes in line with what will be suitable for all elected members.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Platten, question, debate.
Just a really quick debate again. I took some time on Saturday, I think it was, to call Councillor Stafford and just try and understand where he was going with his nom and give some of my opinions. Really happy to see that he listened and he understood where I was coming from, and that there are some people and some situations where a light meal is definitely necessary, especially for people coming straight from work. These sessions can be incredibly long, and without the provision of some food, I was worried about that. So personally, I think it tries to cover all bases, and I'd really like to see it pass, and I totally agree with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Eaton, question, debate.
Yeah, certainly I'm a lot happier with this motion as it was. And in fact, one of our biggest critics on social media, John Houlihan, doesn't have a problem with the meals issue. And I might also add that there's a number of councillors, including myself, that are continuing on, that we have never claimed mobile phone, internet access, or vehicle travel. But unfortunately, that detail is not up on the system yet. We can see it for the last council, but we can't see it for the current council. And I think that's important that gets out to the community now. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Eaton. Councillor Wilkes, question or debate?
I would like to debate, please.
Okay, so let's reset the clock.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Stafford, for bringing this motion up. One thing I'd like to say is that it's a bit, the opt-in, opt-out, I mean, it seems feasible, it's great. I'd hate to see this be used as something like you've said, Jeff, where some people are taking the internet and some people are, it's like we get $20,000, $23,000 a year to be here. I easily would put 40 hours in a week, no joke, nothing less. Having a meal served for you beforehand is a really beneficial allowance that we get. I mean, lots of us come from work. I have lots of children, so I'm flat out from school pickup to dropping them everywhere, coming in, and it's been a godsend. I'm going to opt out because we are in a tight space and I can eat freezer meals. So I just hope this doesn't turn into something where, you know, one person's getting it and one person's not, because we're all here for the right reasons. We really are. And you know, I just think that we should sometimes tap ourselves on the back and just say we are doing a really good job. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, councillor. No further people wishing to speak. Councillor Stafford, do you wish to close?
I just would like to highlight, because it'd be a shame if it did not get noticed, Councillor Platten's email to me regarding these changes was titled Food for Thought, and I thought that was funny. Thank you.
I'm pleased that when the search engine goes looking for that, we'll be able to find this debate very easily. I will now put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? One. So the motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Now we have item 11.4, which is on page 333. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I feel that because you're a very new chamber and we're now going to have a very new CEO to us, we are all going to be held accountable. And we also need to have some input in respect to the performance of the new CEO, because look in 3.5 years' time when you're starting to look around for running for council. And I might add, when I ran for council the first time, and I did get the highest number of first votes for the city of Onkaparinga, I ran on a strong governance and financial management platform. Similarly, I did it again. And who actually got the highest number of first preference votes? They stopped counting mine because I was on for the whole of council. In fact, I was about the 8th highest.
So I'm just checking, is you're moving the motion?
I'm moving the motion and I've just asked to, yes, and I'm debating.
Yep, the time's on.
Rightio, a lot of my reasons are already explained in my background.
Thank you.
And what I'm looking for is this initial induction period of the new CEO. We have the options to be part of the performance committee and ask those questions. I've had the frustration of actually sitting in meetings that you're not a member of the committee of, out there wanting to ask certain questions and I can't. So it's very important. This is about your accountability. And we can demonstrate that we've taken a keen interest in the appointment of the new CEO and their performance. So I ask people to support this.
Thanks, Councillor Eaton. Councillor Famulogis, are you seconding the motion?
Second, and I'll debate really briefly.
Thank you.
I just want to say firstly, how I understood this motion. It's not a reflection on the current committee. The current committee have done an outstanding job, and the current committee are capable. And the current committee are people that I trust and value their opinion. So where this is coming from for me is personal opinion and how I personally feel on reflection of a decision I made. And I want to be accountable for the decision I made, at least in the initial stages. So that might be 2-3 meetings till we get to December. So I just want to take a bit of accountability about the decision I made and a bit of ownership of the decision I made and be able to scrutinise and ask questions of the CEO. The CEO talked a very, very big game and he knows a little bit about me and I'm going to challenge him every step of the way. So look out, CEO. But in that CEO Performance Committee meeting, you can have some free conversation and ask a lot of questions. And I would like to be able to do that in the initial stages. So elected members, if you do support this motion, this is where I'm coming from. And I'd hope you'd see fit that you'd support it at least in the initial stages.
Thank you. Councillor Platten, question or debate?
Just again, very quick debate. Not speaking on behalf of the committee, but personally, everyone made a decision on the CEO, and there's only a small amount of time for the CEO to have a probationary period. Personally, I think it takes the pressure off me immensely to have everyone else have the ability to ask questions and have that same accountability. And so, from my perspective, I don't have an issue with it, and I hope to see it pass.
Thank you, Councillor G. Question, debate?
Debate, thank you.
I'll set the timer again, please. Thank you.
I'd like to speak against the motion. Firstly, I'd like to highlight the diligence capability and collaborative nature of the CEO Performance Management Committee. And some examples of that are through the CEO selection process was a testament to that. Everyone was included in the development of the vision, attributes that we wanted to see in formal questions and the role description and the selection criteria. All decisions actually need to go through this council that are decided in the performance committee meeting, where councillors can ask the questions about decisions made, and that's where accountability can happen. I deeply believe in managing and supporting and managing people. We need a conducive environment for growth and accountability that allows for genuine and comprehensive exploration of opportunities and areas of improvement. This change will increase costs for catering and mileage because it's then going to include all 13 of us. I have to count the numbers then. And I also think that personally, I won't be relying on the CEO Performance Committee to build a relationship with the new CEO. If anything, I'd want to develop the relationship outside this meeting to then have the honest and frank conversations in the meeting. This morning, I actually looked back at our December 13th meeting and saw that Councillor Famulogis actually nominated us and it was supported unanimously by this chamber. And some of the issues that were raised by previous council members that were involved in it. Last year, in the last chamber, described it as being ineffective and lacking efficiency and time because of having all the voices around the table. And when I asked the question in regards to previous chambers and how they've managed the CEO Performance Committee, last year was the last term was the only time that they had everyone involved, and the rationale behind that was because of the issues that were being raised by the previous CEO issues that CEO Coringa obviously we're all very aware of. So that's why that happened. And previously to that, it was always about 4 to 5 people. So for me, I just I wonder what's changed. We all knew that the CEO Performance Committee would be undertaking this. We all knew that we'd be bringing in the CE, and we all had an opportunity at the start of the year to all actually nominate, and that was chosen at the time not to happen. So yeah, I'm not supporting that.
Thank you, Councillor Greaves. Question, debate?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm happy. Well, actually, no, let me start with the question. Can I get a bit of a sense, just so that the whole chamber knows exactly how many meetings are scheduled between now and December for the CEO Performance Management Committee?
It's on the schedule. Are you able to tell us off the top of your head? Jordan?
Right off the top of my head, Chair.
Six.
There's 3 to December. But there's more like 6 scheduled to the end of the probationary period.
Correct.
And we're anticipating there'll be another 2 to 3 meetings right before that probation period ends, just to do some of the admin work.
Yeah, excellent. No worries. Thank you. So there is a fairly heavy work schedule ahead. Look, I'll speak now. I'm also not supporting this motion. I reflect on my time in this chamber when we did have the whole of the council as the CEO Performance Management Committee. And while it did have some benefits, that is, you know, everybody being in the room and actually being part of the conversations, the reality is that no decisions were made at that level. Every conversation that was had was generally repeated when we came back to make a decision as a council in the council meeting. So I think it is a particularly ineffective way of managing CEO's performance. And I think in the formative stages where there's a lot of operational things to be contemplated, it is much more succinct to have a smaller number, have a look at those particular things. I guess the point I really want to make is that the critical decisions that a CEO Performance Management Committee are contemplating are going to come back to our council chamber for decision. You know, and there will be opportunities for questions to be asked. There's absolutely nothing stopping any other elected member who's not part of the CEO Performance Management Committee flicking through some questions to be asked. There's nothing stopping those other elected members actually sitting in on some of those CEO Performance Management Committees as well. So I think that the opportunities are there. I do think it is a bit of a step back, going back to a model of the whole of council. You know, it might tick a few boxes for some elected members, but I actually don't think it's a really effective and efficient use of our time. And certainly I think it would create more of an administrative burden for our council staff if we were to go back to this particular way of doing things. So I certainly won't be supporting it because I actually don't think that it's broken.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes, question or debate?
I'd like to debate, please. So I have full trust in the team on the CEO Performance Committee. I think they did a great job narrowing it down to 3. And then obviously as a chamber, we all selected him together. And I also would like to say I have a lot of trust in the system. So I have already asked a question on this. I'm just going to read it out. Can you please outline the process for the review panel in the upcoming probation period, particularly if decisions are made by the current Chief Executive Office Performance Management Committee group and would it require approval from the chamber? So the answer is towards the end of the probation period, the CEO Performance Management Committee will facilitate a formal probation review process, which will involve seeking feedback from all elected members. So then we will all be involved in making those decisions. Furthermore, the answer outlines the CEO Performance Management Committee does not have the authority to make decisions relating to remuneration, which is the money that he earns, sorry about my pronunciation, or the employment of the CEO. The committee can only make recommendations to council to approve any changes. So we're going to have a say anyway. I really think that it kind of is going to come back to us, so I don't see the point of us changing the process that was already in place. Thank you.
Councillor Yeomans.
Just a couple of quick points if I can. At the start of this, I wasn't totally against having an opportunity for the input into the CEO performance, particularly during the probation period. And that's certainly not suggesting I didn't have any faith in the current committee. I thank Councillor Greaves for some clarity, because I was concerned about how problematic it would be having a 13-member committee, and to be assured that we can, if necessary and you want to, you can sit in on the committee meetings, not be participant, but just listen. And you can ask questions of those committee, of the committee, to perhaps ask those sorts of questions at the committee itself. That's reassuring as well. So thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor. I see no one else wishing to speak. Councillor Eaton, would you like to close debate? Can you just press? Thank you.
Well, this is about the whole chamber having that opportunity to speak and ask questions in that CEO Performance Committee environment, because it doesn't go live. So I'm asking you to support it. It's important. It's only for 6 months, 5 months, and then we make up our mind in December and we'll have a better understanding of what the new CEO is. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I will put the motion. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4. All those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is lost, but we are going to call a division. Thank you. So all those, sorry, can you just pop that back up for us? All those 4. Yeah, all those 4. Would you please stand? Councillor Stafford, Councillor Eaton, Councillor Platten, and Councillor Themiotis. And all those against, if you wouldn't mind standing. Wilkes, Yeomans, Willett, Greaves, Jew, and Bell. Thank you, everyone. Now item 12, 12.1 is a petition, which we have with 18 signatories regarding the installation of a convex mirror. I believe there's an update for this, or no? No, there's not, sorry. So there are 3 recommendations here. Do I have someone to move that? Councillor Themiotis.
Yeah, moved as written, no debate required.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton, are you seconding the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to second it. Just a comment. I do notice that some of the verges are actually, bushes on the verges are blocking the view of people. And perhaps we need to probably attend to that matter as well and get that cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? I'll put the motion. Oh no, we're putting the motion to receive the petition. Sorry. Yes. All those in favour? The motion's carried. Thank you, everyone. Urgent business. I understand Councillor Wilkes, you wish to bring an item to our attention. Can you just press your buzzer, please?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't get this in any earlier. I only found out about these dates on the weekend. I would like to apply for leave from the 29th of July until the 26th of August.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. Do we need to pass that now? Yes. We do. So you're moving that motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Greaves is seconding it. Any further discussion? Councillor Themiotis? No. Not for this. All those in favour? Thank you. The motion's carried. Do you have an item for urgent business? No. We're just trigger happy on the. We now have confidential items, which is exclusion to the public. So we need to now ask the public to leave. If Councillor Themiotis, are you moving this motion? Move the course. Moving into confidence. So, and do we have a seconder? Councillor Bell. Yes. Thank you. Do we have all those in favour? Yep. Thank you. And that is carried. Now, can I ask everyone to now leave the chamber, please?